On October 6, 2020, Linnea Caldwell shares a post on Facebook that we've all probably seen and has come way too familiar. It's a story of a 4-year-old girl fatally beaten. Little did she know she'd soon be in the same situation. On September 24th of this year, Linnea Caldwell's daughter is reported missing. Her name is Navaeh.
You having fun? Yeah.
Once Navaeh is reported missing, police act accordingly. They send helicopters, search dogs, people in the community where Navaeh lived go out and do searches for her. Her mother is constantly posting on Facebook. But little do we know, things are going to take a drastic turn.
Is everyone ready? Chief Murphy, Paul, Baton Rouge Police Department. Today we wanted to call together a press conference to discuss and announce an update in the investigation involving the homicide of Navaeh Allen. You know, over the last several days, when we first received a call, it was our highest priority to bring Navaeh home. And it saddens me to have to stand here with our partners and hold a press conference to discuss the fact that this beautiful, innocent angel is no longer with us. For those of you in the media and everyone who's watching us now, please remember that there is a grieving family, loved ones, and a community that's mourning the loss of a baby. I'll first begin with a timeline on our investigative efforts. On September 24th, at approximately 1600 hours, Baton Rouge Police Department uniform officers were dispatched to the 12,000 block of West LaBelle Avenue in reference to a missing juvenile, a 2-year-old later determined to be Navaeh Allen. The boyfriend of Navaeh's mother, identified as Philip Gardner, initially reported that when he awoke from a nap that he discovered that the 2-year-old Navaeh Allen was missing. Her mother, Linnea B. Caldwell, was reportedly at work when this incident occurred. An extensive investigation into the matter and search of Navaeh was then conducted. That included multiple local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in Louisiana and in Mississippi. The investigative divisions included all of our districts here at the Baton Rouge Police Department, our Uniform Patrol Division, our Air Support, our K-9, our Real-Time Crime Center, our Missing Persons and Special Victims Unit, our Crime Scene, our Homicide Division, EBR Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, the FBI, New Orleans and Baton Rouge Field Offices, Angola Prison, Bloodhounds, Baton Rouge Fire Department, Baton Rouge EMS, Louisiana State Police, the Mississippi Hancock County Sheriff's Office, Mississippi Hancock Coroner's Office, as well as the EBR Coroner's Office, as well as the JCORD, which is the Joint Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, which is headed by the Federal Bureau of Investigations. I want to highlight a few specific names. One, our Louisiana State Police Fusion Center, an investigative and analytical support that they provided when this investigation first began, with analysts in the East Baton Rouge Real-Time Crime Center that was providing analytical support and investigative efforts, along with the efforts of our missing persons unit, specifically Chad Montgomery and Jonathan Medine, and our detective, Jeff Anders. I want to highlight our EBR Real-Time Crime Center analysts, specifically Cindy Carmack, who's assigned to the State Police Fusion Center, and Corporal Tanya Edlin, because their investigative efforts were critical in the early stages of the investigation to determine leads, which led to the recovery. On September 26, 2021, the in-depth multi-agency investigation led to the recovery of Navaeh's body in a wooded area in Hancock County, Mississippi. Subsequently, an autopsy was conducted, and it was determined the cause of death was homicide. On September 25th, Philip Garner, the boyfriend of Navaeh's mother, was arrested for his part in disposing of Navaeh's deceased body and bringing it across state lines into Mississippi, and he was charged with unlawful disposal of human remains and obstruction of justice. To date, Baton Rouge Police Department detectives arrested Lanaya Brittany Cardwell, the mother of Navaeh, and she was charged with second-degree murder. You know, as a law enforcement agency, the safety of our citizens is of the utmost importance. And this is especially true for our children. You know, as a parent, the well-being of my children is sacred. And I'm sure the same is true for everybody who's watching, those who are standing around me today, parents, guardians who are watching this press conference. I would like to offer my personal condolences to all those who love this little angel, to our father, the grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, family members, and other loved ones. We are lifting you up in prayer in this difficult time. Words cannot convey the amount of sympathy that we have for you. I want to acknowledge that this is still an ongoing investigation. Our detectives are still conducting investigations, this investigation, as we are holding this press conference. And I really want to just highlight the efforts of our partners here who've investigative efforts and are working with the district attorney's office, which allowed us to make these arrests. We still have a long way to go as it relates to investigations. We wanted to inform the public on this new update in the investigation. Any questions?
Chief Paul, on Friday afternoon at that apartment complex, Ms. Cardwell spoke to several of us in the media and said the last time she saw her daughter was around 8:15 after taking her to a corner store. She was dropped off at work. That was the last you heard. That story that she told us with tears in her eyes and said it several times, was that false?
I don't know exactly what she told you. I can tell you that our detectives conducted an investigation, believe we have probable cause. A warrant was obtained before a judge of the 19 JDC, and she was arrested today.
Chief Paul, did you guys get a tip or something letting you know that the baby's body was in Hancock County, Mississippi, or what led you to that area?
The investigative efforts of our police officers, the analysts and detectives assigned to the Real-Time Crime Center, and through coordination with the Louisiana State Police Fusion Center.
Has it been determined yet how exactly baby Navaeh passed?
the coroner's office is still conducting further tests to determine. It was ruled a homicide. I believe that the coroner put out a press release on that, but there is still further investigation going on at the coroner's office.
I guess going back to my original question, when she tells us the last time she saw that baby before she went to work alive, early in the morning, Friday, the mom saying that, was that true? And then throughout this investigation, did y'all realize the mother, Ms. Cardwell, was involved through comments made by Mr. Gardner?
I am not going to give any specifics as to the details of our investigative efforts. As I stated earlier, this is an ongoing investigation. We have developed probable cause. We have presented those findings to a judge who signed that warrant, and she was taken into custody today.
Can you tell us at what point did the mom did become a suspect?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us at what point did the mom did become a suspect?
Well, I don't know exactly what point, but I do know that our investigators were working together with our partners from the beginning to find out the truth. Last question.
Clearly, keep going on the probable cause. You mentioned the story that was told throughout the weekend of kids coming home from school, door being wide open of that apartment, Navaeh not being there, mom having been at work. Is that true?
Well, we're not going to go to everything that was told because I'm not sure what was told to you specifically. I do know that our investigators from the first police officer on the scene, the investigative effort started, and we're still conducting investigation as we speak. Go ahead.
Can you tell us the probable cause that you did present to the judge that led up to this point?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us the probable cause that you did present to the judge that got us to this point?
All of that is outlined in public record, and you'll be able to get a copy of that once she's been booked accordingly, and that will be made available to the media.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all stand by.
The affidavit for arrest warrant for Linnea Brittany Carwell states that on September 24th, 2021, at approximately 1600 hours, uniformed patrol officers were dispatched to Linnea's address. Officers contacted Philip Gardner, who identified himself as the child's stepfather. Gardner told police that he woke up from a nap to find his front door open and the 2-year-old child missing. Uniformed patrol officers, missing persons detectives, and members of the FBI conducted a thorough search of the area but were unable to locate the child. Detectives learned that Gardner was caring for the victim, a 3-year-old child and an 11-month-old child, while the mother was at work. Detective interviewed Gardner and learned that early on the morning of Friday, September 24th, 2021, the defendant was in the bathroom preparing to go to work when the 2-year-old victim picked up the defendant's contact lenses. The defendant became angry and punched the victim in the torso with a closed fist, causing her to fall and forcefully strike her head on a cabinet. The defendant forcibly grabbed the victim and took her to another room. Gardner described hearing what sounded like 2 adults fighting in the room. Gardner observed the victim to be crying and noticed a contusion on her head. Gardner took the defendant to work and returned home with the victim, 3-year-old and 11-month-old. Gardner advised that the victim refused to eat and complained of stomach pain. The victim lay down on the couch and was later found unresponsive. Gardner described the victim to be lifeless and cold as he attempted CPR to revive the victim. Gardner later admitted to disposing of the remains in Mississippi to help protect the defendant. Gardner's children were interviewed by an FBI child adolescent forensic interviewer. Affiant reviewed each video interview and learned that the children described a history of verbal and physical abuse by the defendant. The children gave detailed accounts of the defendant grabbing the victim by the head and yelling at the victim. The children stated that the defendant struck the victim on the face because the victim played with the defendant's contact lenses. On September 26, 2021, the victim's body was recovered from a wooded area in Mississippi. An autopsy showed multiple contusions to the face and head, along with swelling to the brain. Marks were observed on the victim's face, consistent with that of a handprint. Bruises were observed on the victim's thighs and buttocks. Injuries were observed to the abdominal wall, which were consistent with being punched in the abdomen. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. Based on injuries sustained to the victim and statements of witnesses, the defendant committed LRS 1430 second-degree murder while engaged in the perpetration of second-degree cruelty to juveniles, which resulted in the death of the victim. Navaeh was found in a suitcase. It was later determined that Gardner left his cell phone home so he could not be tracked. Gardner allegedly said he loaded the suitcase in the car and put it in a makeshift grave deep in the woods of Mississippi. He then allegedly threw Navaeh's clothes in the garbage and drove home to file the false missing persons report. Linnea is quoted as telling some of the media that was there to cover the search for the missing child, "I don't know what could have happened. I don't know what went wrong. I wish I would have stayed home from work. I don't know. That's all I know," she said through tears. "The last time I seen my baby, she was sobbing into the camera. When I went to work, she had on her yellow dress with the pineapples on it, and she should have still had that on."
Eight months pregnant, and tonight a new bond for the mother accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter. Good evening. We have learned a lot more about the woman facing charges in her child's disturbing death.
She and her boyfriend both charged with murder and now hit with hefty bonds. News 2's Taylor Rubach with the new developments in a story we've been following very closely. She joins us live from the newsroom. Taylor.
Chris, Sylvia, both suspects showed up to court together, not showing any acknowledgement to one another. Linnea Cardwell visibly upset after hearing the condition of 2-year-old Navaeh Allen's body when it was discovered in Mississippi last Sunday. Linnea Cardwell and Philip Gardner both in court together Monday, each with a new bond now, $375,000 apiece. Both charged with second-degree murder of 2-year-old Navaeh Allen. Now the mother revealing she's 8 months pregnant at today's hearing. Prosecutors argued the two should be held without bond.
I don't know what could have happened. I don't know what went wrong. I wish I would have stayed home from work. I don't know. I don't know.
This when Navaeh was reported missing on September 24th, kicking off an expansive search for her. Prosecutors say the mother and her boyfriend helped fuel a sham search since they knew little Navaeh was dead. Cardwell visibly upset as prosecutors described Allen's body badly beaten. She never looked in the direction of her boyfriend Philip Gardner during the hearing. Now the community holding vigils in honor of the little girl.
Beautiful that they came out to support my niece in this trying times and support the family and show much love.
A crowd rallying behind Marcus Allen, the father of Navaeh, as he prepares to tell his child goodbye. And the remaining children that were living with Linnea Cardwell and Philip Gardner have been taken by the state. Live in the newsroom, Taylor Rubach, WBRZ News 2.
Ready, set, go. Good job.